the f*** is that guy? Who the f*** is that?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a full breakdown of this weekend's card at UFC Fight Night 204 in London, England. If you only want to hear about specific matchups, head on down to the description for chapter markers. Otherwise, here we go. The first fight of the night is often one that is missed by the casual fans. A lot of them don't even tune into the broadcast until the main card has already begun. But this weekend, the hardcore fans are definitely going to be watching, as Mokaev makes his much anticipated UFC debut. Mokaev is currently the youngest fighter on the roster, yet he carries with him an astounding undefeated streak of 29 victories, spanning across his professional and amateur career. His opponent, Cody Durden, is coming into this fight with a pro record of 12, 3, and 1. Durden is a very well-rounded fighter from American Top Team, with the ability to finish opponents on his feet or on the ground. However, Vegas currently has Mokaev as the heavy favorite, and I'm inclined to agree. Unless Mokaev gets nervous under the big lights for the first time, the Punisher from Dagestan is likely to add another W to his insane winning streak this Saturday. Next up is a strawweight showdown between Cory McKenna and Elise. McKenna is the current favorite at minus 240. She's currently riding a 4-fight winning streak, while Elise just lost her last fight against Sijara Eubanks 8 months ago. It makes sense that Reed would be the underdog. However, one thing to consider is that she's coming down from flyweight. Could be worth it to place a small bet on the American underdog at plus 200 in this one. After that, we've got an absolute banger of a bantamweight bout between the undefeated Welshman Jack Shore and Timur Valiev out of Dagestan. Vegas currently has this fight as basically a pick'em, with Valiev having the slight edge at minus 120. Timur has only lost one fight in over a decade, and it was via split decision. Meanwhile, Jack Shore has a professional record of 15-0 with an amateur record of 12-0, so he's obviously no slouch either. Whoever wins this fight truly deserves a shot at a top 15 ranked opponent next. It's a tough call, but we're going to go with Timur Valiev via decision. Moving on up to the light heavyweight division, next up is a showdown between Nikita Krylov and Paul Craig. Ukraine's Krylov is the current favorite at minus 200. A Krylov win would probably be great for the Ukrainian people's spirit right now, but we've got a feeling that the plus 150 underdog gets the finish on Saturday night. On to the big boys. The sixth fight of the prelims goes down between a pair of Russian titans in Shamil Abdurakhimov and Sergei Pavlovich. Abdurakhimov is 40 years old and 260 pounds, while Pavlovich is 29 years old and 240 pounds. According to Vegas, the younger and lighter fighter is a huge favorite on Saturday at minus 310. Having only one loss on his record to Alistair Overeem in 2018, Sergei is definitely the choice to go with here. He's undoubtedly going to be faster than Abdurakhimov, and 11 of his 14 victories have come via early knockouts. I'm not saying that Shamil can't get it done, because he definitely can, but he is susceptible to KOs, having lost nearly half of his UFC fights to strikes. The final fight of the prelims takes place at featherweight, between Englishman Mike Grundy and Finland's Makwan Amirkhani. This one is a potential do-or-die fight for Amirkhani, as he's lost 4 of his last 5 fights in the UFC. Mike Grundy should certainly also be worried though, since he's lost 2 of his last 3 in the promotion. Both fighters are primarily ground specialists, with most of their victories coming via submission. I could see this being one of those fights where both fighters are a little too hesitant to get finished by the other one, and they end up leaving it to the judges. But we're going to go with Grundy by decision. Opening up the main card, we've got a lightweight bout between England's Jai Herbert and Spain's Ilia Topuria. Topuria has been in the headlines quite a bit this week for a dispute he's had with Paddy Pimblett. The two actually got into a bit of a physical altercation at their shared hotel on Tuesday, but thankfully no one was injured. Do you think this sideshow will be a distraction for the undefeated Spaniard coming up from featherweight? Vegas certainly doesn't, as they have Ilia Topuria as a massive minus 650 favorite to Herbert's plus 400. This one's obviously a no-brainer. Topuria finishes Herbert within 2 rounds in front of his home crowd in England. Following that, we're going back down to flyweight to see Molly Meatball McCann face off against the Brazilian Luana Carolina. Molly McCann is getting the nod from Vegas in this one, with odds of minus 140 to Carolina's plus 115. This is likely due to McCann having the home field advantage, because on paper the two fighters are actually pretty similar. Something tells me Luana Carolina is going to get the upset though. She's younger, taller, and probably faster. And she's coming off back-to-back wins, so she's got momentum. I just think that she's the more complete fighter, and that she will find a way to grind out her decision victory on Saturday. Up next is the much-anticipated return of Gunnar Nelson in an interesting matchup against Takashi Sato. Iceland's Nelson hasn't fought in more than 2 years, and his last 2 fights were both losses, but they were against top 5 level competition. Whereas Japan's Takashi Sato hasn't faced off against any of the elites at welterweight yet, so this will likely be a tough night at the office for him. He's lost 3 of his last 6 fights via submission, and you know what Gunnar Nelson just so happens to be really good at? You guessed it, submissions. Vegas currently has Nelson as a giant favorite at minus 450 to Sato's plus 340. I'd have to agree, and take Gunny via submission within the first 2 rounds. If the arena wasn't already excited after seeing Gunnar Nelson's return, then the 4th fight of the main card should really get the people going, as England's rising star Paddy the Baddy Pimblett takes on Mexico's Rodrigo Cazula Vargas. Both of these lightweights can get the job done standing or on the ground, and neither have ever been knocked out. 27-year-old Paddy is carrying a ton of hype with him, having only fought once in the UFC so far. Will he be able to rise to the occasion in front of his home crowd, or will the hype train be derailed by the 36-year-old Vargas? You know, we love a good upset just as much as the next guy, but Vegas certainly doesn't think that's going to happen, as they're giving Paddy the second best odds of the night at minus 575 to Rodrigo's plus 390. We'll ride with Pimblett for this one. The co-main event of the evening is our pick for what will most likely be the fight of the night. Featherweight phenom Arnold Allen will enter the cage with a 10-fight winning streak to protect against the always game Dan Hooker. After losing 3 of his last 4 at lightweight against some of the best in that division, Hooker decided it was time to drop down in divisions to featherweight. The Hangman from New Zealand is truly a savage, and he is able to finish the fight from almost anywhere, but cutting that much weight cannot be healthy for a man with his height and frame. Arnold Allen is technical, fast, and strong at 145. He has his work cut out for him against what is likely his toughest challenge yet in Dan Hooker. But we're picking Arnold Allen here. He's got home field advantage, tons of momentum, and Vegas agrees that he's the slight favorite, with odds of minus 145 to Hooker's plus 115. No matter who wins though, this one's for the fans. And now for the main event of the evening. 2 top 10 ranked heavyweights will clash for a potential shot at a contenders fight next. Russia's Alexander Volkov versus England's Tom Aspinall. Volkov is a true veteran at 33 years old with 43 professional fights under his belt. He's not going to make it easy for relative newcomer Aspinall on Saturday. He's going to try to use his height and his reach advantage to keep the 28-year-old Englishman at a safe distance while piecing him up with punches. He has to be as careful as he can be early in the fight though, because Aspinall has finished all of his opponents but one so far without ever seeing the 3rd round. Vegas is giving the younger fighter the edge with odds of minus 125 to Volkov's plus 105. I think experience is going to win out on Saturday though, and Volkov will weather the early rounds before taking control in the later ones. Volkov by decision or by late round TKO. Well, that's just about it for today's breakdown of UFC Fight Night 204 in London, England. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing. Have a fantastic rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.